Ready to go? Let's see. Is she there? Oh, there she is. Hello, Paige. How are you?
Hey, good. How's it going?
We were taking bets. We were like, is Paige going to show? She not. We were I was nervous. I told you this. This is full. You know, I said.
I know. No, I fully anticipated being on last week. I was ready to go. I was gonna suck it up, but I had the worst. I haven't had the stomach flu, I think, in like 5 years.
Oh no.
And yeah, I was not good. I canceled everything. Had to cancel a flight. So it wasn't just you who let down.
I take it. I take it personally. I get all in my feelings and whatnot. But I'm happy you're okay now. All good.
All good.
Okay.
All good to go.
All good to go. I'm happy that you're here. It's been a while since we last spoke. I think the last time was before that Amanda Hebus fight, so right before your last UFC fight. A lot going on in your life. The most recent news is that you have signed with AEW, All Elite Wrestling, which is super interesting. When does this actually start? Like, I know you showed up recently. You did the thing with Ty Conti. Like, when are you like actually a part of the show? Because it's Wednesday. Like, are you showing up tonight? Are you showing up on Dynamite?
No, I won't be there this Wednesday. I kind of, signed the contract and jumped on board 100%. So now I'm doing pro wrestling practice, getting ready for my first match. I haven't heard exactly when that would be, but yeah, I'm a part of the show. I'm a full contract signed pro wrestler for AEW now.
Wow. And where are you training?
Out here in Coconut Creek or in the Pompano area. If you've heard of Gangrel, he's kind of been my coach the last few times. Dan Lambert got me set up with everything I need. I'm at a local pro wrestling gym here in Florida.
Wow, Gangrel legend. He used to wear fangs and have like bloodbaths and whatnot. So he is your coach.
He's my coach, and it's kind of a crazy world. When I first started MMA, I had the legendary Ken Shamrock as my coach.
That's right.
Who is also familiar in the pro wrestling world. And then now I get to, move into this world and have another legendary coach. So it's coming full circle, and it's all working out really well.
When you were growing up, were you a wrestling fan?
I was, but the same amount as I was a fan of the UFC and of fighting. I liked it. I liked watching it. The action was really exciting. It wasn't really, it's like I am with all sports. Do I love watching sports? Yeah, but I like competing a whole lot more. I've always been the person who wanted to be part of the show. I couldn't tell you every football player's name in the NFL, but I love playing football and I know everything about football. So it's something I just felt like AEW and pro wrestling was definitely in my future, something I really just wanted to be a part of the show.
I know that obviously Dan Lambert, who you spoke of, owner of ATT, he's been involved with their show for a bit now. Is he the one that bridged the gap here? Is he the one that got you to go to AEW?
Yeah, I would say he was definitely a big part of it. I went with him. I had his back in a few instances. He's been a big part of the AEW. But watching them, I knew my career was going to take me to the WWE or to AEW. I was watching both of them. Huge fan of both. The first AEW show I went to, though, the feeling, the audience, the crowd, everything about it, I just knew I belonged, and it was something that I knew I'd be really good at. And the whole atmosphere in the show they put on it's like iconic, and I knew that was the place for me.
Did you even have any conversations with WWE?
Yeah, I went down to their training center about a year ago. I did have some things in the work, but the AEW kind of said what they needed to say, and they had all the right words to get me to come over to the AEW.
Wow. So there was like a bidding war?
Not a bidding war, no. There was just different contract like details and like styles. Like there was things the AEW, I mean, they're working hand in hand with BKFC and letting me be a professional fighter still. I still get to be myself. It's not an exclusive full-time wrestling contract. So yes, I'm in the AEW, I'm going to wrestle for them, but they're also letting me be a part of BKFC still. I'm definitely not done boxing, definitely not done fighting. So it was an amazing partnership that they were willing to work with me in all the other things that I still want to do.
Got it. And so in other words, WWE wanted you to be exclusive.
Exactly.
Okay. Now it all makes sense. So the first time that you were there, had you ever been to a pro wrestling show before? Like when we saw you a part of the show, was that your first time actually at a pro wrestling event as well?
No, I had been to a WWE event as well.
Okay, all right. But now here you are like a part of the actual show. Did you enjoy it? Like from, the get-go to be a character to kind of playing a bad guy, all that stuff?
love it. I mean, and for me, I'm not playing anybody. They hired me to be Paige VanZant. So I just get to go out there and be myself. And I think you can definitely see that. I still get to, it's like the best of both worlds. I get to, be myself, but then I get to look good while I do it. You don't go out there and be in a UFC fight with your hair done and looking really good. And I feel like that's a whole other side of me. Now I get to go in there and fight and look like me and feel good. So I love that this world, I feel like it just completely fits everything that I am.
We have seen some MMA fighters cross over to wrestling. I remember King Mo doing it back in the day, and he's like, man, this stuff is way harder than everyone thinks. Tito said the same. Now that you've done some training, can you confirm that it is way harder than people think?
It is definitely a lot harder than people think. I would say that there is definitely aspects of it that I come from a gymnastics background. So, and especially with my fighting. So the athleticism part of it, I'm having a really, not easy time, but I'm adapting very well. I feel like I'm catching on extremely quickly, but there is a lot of it that it's a lot more painful than people think. Like my poor elbows are just like demolished right now from training. So yeah, it's definitely more painful than I think people would anticipate the training would be.
How many days a week are you training right now? I know it just kind of started, but how often are you doing it?
I just started. So I did two days last week, and then we're still trying to put my schedule together with all of the coaches, coordinate, especially with BKFC. I still want to do a bare knuckle boxing match this year. So it's just finding the right balance between doing both the needs that I need to focus on. It was more just like getting my feet wet in wrestling and seeing how consistent I need to train. And now I feel like we're going to get a good balance between all of the coaches. And then I think King Mo actually is at American Top Team with me. So there's things that me and him can do and just mess around when I'm over at ATT too.
In a perfect world, when would you make your debut?
Perfect world here in the next few months, honestly. I think that between the coaches and between everybody seeing as quickly as I'm picking it up, I truly believe that I'll be ready to get in there here in a month or two.
And would it be fair to assume that your first foe, if you will be Conti, who has a bit of a, I think, MMA-ish background as well? She's Brazilian. You signed your contract on her butt. I mean, it was a whole scene.
Yes, I did.
Is that fair to say?
No, I'd love to go in there and make a statement against her. Honestly, I know she's got a black belt in judo, so she does come from a combat sports world. I think it would be the perfect matchup for me and her to go against each other. It's a great place for me to make my name off of her. Somebody who's, been in the AEW, is a pro wrestler, but also comes from my world.
Will Austin be a part of the scene as well? Is he training as well?
Austin is training. He messes around a little bit, but he isn't as passionate, I would say, about pro wrestling as I am. I definitely see it as being a career, a long-term future for me, whereas his passion is still dedicated and focused 100% only on MMA.
So you mentioned BKFC, MMA. Why even go back? Why do you got this thing now here? It looks like it will take a lot of time. Hopefully they're treating you well. What's the reason for wanting to do that still?
I mean, why not? I love it. And I think that people are so, they have this idea that if you want to be successful at something, you have to only do one thing. You have to put yourself in this box and only focus on that. But I have a different idea of success. I want to be successful all around. It's about creating a name for myself and making as much money as possible and doing the things that I love to do. And I still love bare knuckle boxing. I feel like you could see in my first and second fight, my boxing was not only getting better, my straight boxing is getting better, my bare knuckle boxing is going to get better. And I'm just not done with that part of my life yet. I think that I do want to be one of the only pro wrestlers and pro MMA fighters, pro boxers that is able to compete in every sport all at the same time.
Realistically, where does MMA or how does MMA fit into all of these plans? Like, how would you even have time to prepare for an MMA fight when you're doing pro wrestling, when you're doing bare knuckle?
At the end of the day, it's all the same combat sports world, right? There's things that I can do. I'm not going to completely change who I am going into the pro wrestling world. I'm still Paige VanZant. I'm still going to have a focus on MMA and on fighting, and on like boxing. But I feel like the training, they just go hand in hand. And I have such a supportive and amazing team that I really feel like everything is set up for success. And right now, my focus is on pro wrestling and bare knuckle boxing. And then beyond that, after this fight's over, I know I'll be in contract negotiations again. So it's whether I want to stay with BKFC or I have a few doors, people knocking on the door to go back into MMA as well.
Oh, so this upcoming, whenever it happens, fight for BKFC is the last on your deal?
It is, yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I still feel, if I'm being honest, I still can't believe Bellator didn't sign you. I felt like it was just too perfect. Your husband fights there. They've got the 120.
No, I know.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it wasn't up to them though. It was up to me. At the end of the day, I went where I wanted to go, and there was great contract offered to me. So I had a lot of contracts on all sides of things, but BKFC sealed the deal, and then they gave me an offer I couldn't say no to.
Are MMA promotions still like checking in on you?
Yes.
They are. Yeah. Who?
Yeah.
You want to tell us who? Who are we talking about?
A few of them. I know I try not to focus on the contract side of things too much. I just wait until that's actually like one thing at a time. Once I become a free agent again, we'll go down that avenue. But I know my manager at first round, they're like, okay, when are you going to fight? Because we got some more contracts to sign. So I'm in a great position, but I'm also not rushing myself. I think that I could go out there and fight this last fight for BKFC, be over with, and then all of a sudden become a free agent again. I could do that immediately, but I want to spend the next few months training and fully preparing for it. Especially we were so focused on Austin and his last fight that now it's my turn. We kind of go back and forth, and we're doing everything that we need for me to be successful now in my BKFC fight and then for pro wrestling as well.
Who pays better, BKFC or AEW?
They're different contracts. So they're completely different. It depends on how many times I fight, honestly, and it depends on how many matches I have.
Interesting. Okay. And pay-per-view, probably with BK, not with AEW, right? Pay-per-view.
That hasn't been negotiated yet, but yes, for BKFC, I do.
Okay. And, I remember when you and Austin were in studio on my show when I was at ESPN, it was a whole big thing. I don't even know if you knew how big of a thing it was, because you made that comment at the time, if you recall, that you make more off your Instagram than you do with the UFC.
Yes.
Remember this comment?
And that went everywhere.
Oh
that
my
was
gosh.
Apparently a really big deal.
It was a really big deal. Not only for you, but I got heat for it too.
For everybody.
I got in trouble for it as well. Because
I'm sorry.
No, it was fine. Listen, afterwards, you then sent me the infamous GIF of, burning the bridge. We didn't talk. You blocked me. It was a whole thing.
I did.
But we're back. We're back.
We're back.
We are back. I'm just wondering, is that still the case? Do you make more off of your Instagram and social media than you do off of fighting with all these things?
I would say so. The phrasing of I make more off of Instagram, it's that I've built myself up to a point I can just take endorsement deals from companies and I can sell spots on my social media. Instagram doesn't actually pay you, so it's more just like promoting.
Sure, that's what I mean.
Companies. Yeah. So for clarification for everybody, but it's close, honestly, between endorsement deals. If I sat down and honestly stopped fighting and stopped doing all these other things and just focused 100% on being like an influencer, I'd probably make more money still off of my social media. But that's not what I want to do. It's all about where you push yourself and where you build yourself. BKFC pays me extremely well. I'm very, very happy with my contract, extremely happy with my AEW contract. And I also know that the more that I become successful in both those other ventures, the more they promote me, the bigger I get, the more money I can make in endorsements. They kind of all go hand in hand. The more successful I am in these other industries, the more successful I can be just on my own, selling myself as a brand.
Do you think that you need to be successful in fight or even fight, period, in order to still make that money off of the, social media stuff?
Yes and no. I think obviously the more publicity you get and the more eyes you have on you in these other organizations, they're both big organizations. And I know what makes me special is that I do fight. And that's something that not a lot of people can do, especially going from the UFC, which is already, MMA is extremely violent and brutal, but going into bare knuckle boxing, which nobody expected. I feel like those are the things that sets me apart as far as this industry. And somebody who, I can, I was well-spoken, went to college, I have all these other things going for me, but I choose to fight. And I feel like that's what makes me special. And it just goes hand in hand, I could definitely hang up and stop fighting. I'm definitely in a position in my life I don't need to fight anymore. And I'm very happy that I've been able to do that for myself. just by having a good head on my shoulders, investing well, investing in myself, saving. But I love what I do, and I'm definitely not done. I don't plan on retiring anytime soon. I think I'm in a really good position because now I can say no to doing all these endorsements, and I can just focus on fighting.
Now, you don't need me to tell you this, but some of the social media stuff, dare I say, a little risque. Is risque fair to say? I mean, is that a fair term?
Am I risque? I didn't think
is risque not a? I mean, what would you?
No, that's definitely a term. Yeah, risque.
Risque. Do you recall when you made that? It wasn't always this way on your social media, your persona. Like, when did you make that decision, that shift to go down the risque path, for lack of a better term?
It wasn't really a decision. I think people see me, when I started the UFC, I was 19 years old. Right. So I went from being a teenager to being a woman, and things change in your life. You mature, you grow up, you realize the things that sets you apart. And I think for me too, it came to a point I was trying to just be on my best behavior for as long as possible. Then now I feel like I'm in a position. Like before, when I was in the UFC, I refused to get any tattoos. I wouldn't do anything where I felt like I was going to take myself away from getting endorsement deals, sponsorships. I wanted to make sure I was as accepted by every single venture. I wouldn't have a single endorsement deal that would turn me down for any particular reason. I was going to fit every category for absolutely everybody. And it got to a point where I built my name up so much. Now I am who I am. And it's not that I'm just going to be another sponsored fighter or another person you endorse. I'm Paige VanZant. Now I can do whatever the fuck I want, honestly. Now I do not care. I get my tattoos. I get this, I get that. I get to just be myself. And I think that came from years and years of dedication and keeping my mouth shut and just trying to be the best face possible for other people. And now I don't really have to do that. Now people hire me for me.
Do you wish that you did this earlier?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think that I wanted to, I was coming into this new world, and my parents, amazing, but they always taught me to turn the other cheek, keep my mouth shut, be as respectful as possible. I think that I also needed to come into my own, and growing up in this world, I also learned that, yeah, you can keep your mouth shut on certain things, but it's also okay to speak up, and it's also okay to be yourself. And I think I'm in that position now where I stopped caring what everybody thinks, and I stopped trying to please everybody and be the perfect image for every single person, the perfect image for the UFC. And now I just get to be myself. And I think that's financial stability and like confidence in my future financially has gotten me to that point.
Do you feel like you are happier now because you just get to be yourself as opposed to when you were trying really hard to put on this front?
Yeah, I'm so much happier, but I really wasn't trying to put on a front. I was always myself. I was just like the PG version. Uh-huh. So it was, just trying to be as politically correct as possible.
How much does your relationship allow you to be this way? Meaning you're secure, you're comfortable, you're married, you don't have to worry about anything else. And now you can just be yourself, and you know that your guy is there no matter what, as opposed to if you're single, you're this and that, you have to present a certain stuff. Like, does that help open up this side of you too?
Yeah, I would say that it wasn't me being single that stopped me from doing anything, but the support from my husband and the support that he gives me, I never second guess absolutely anything. And I think he more pushes me to be more confident. So there's times where I'll fall back into that mindset of worrying about what people think about me or just being judgmental or hey, should I post this? I don't know. It's kind of risque. It's I'm not sure if that's really, if I want to post that side of me. And he's so supportive. It's yeah, post it. Who gives a shit? And he's so supportive in that sense. It's definitely helped me open up because he kind of has he just doesn't care mentality about everything. And I feel like he's slowly teaching me to be more like that.
Wow. I'm surprised that you even have that internal filter because it just seems like it's all out there on the page. So he's the reason why.
No, I definitely do. And also, I came from a world. I was a cheerleader. I was a dancer. I was a gymnast. I was doing photo shoots at the age of 12. So it's a part of who I am, but it was also trying to balance that, trying to figure out where you need to hold back to be successful in life.
Do you still feel like you're holding back to a degree?
No, yes and no. There's definitely things where not as far as social media, I guess, but in business meetings and stuff, I definitely don't tell people to F off as much as I should.
Why not?
I don't know, but I'll work on that. I got a phone call after this.
What are they saying to you that you feel like you should be saying F off to?
Oh, nothing. More just like making sure, like, I'm still new to the whole business meeting
Right.
things. And times I feel like I was just on Misha Tate's podcast as well. And it was that you worry about people. We were talking about, you worry about people's feelings, right? You go and you'll do uncomfortable things not to hurt somebody's feelings. And you'll go and you'll say yes to things, or you'll compromise financially to make everybody happy, when at the end of the day, it's my career and it's my life, and I need to put myself first before absolutely anybody else.
And by the way, you have the manager when it comes to fighting, First Round, Abe Malki, but when it comes to all this other stuff, do you have another group of managers that do that, or do you do that on your own?
No, they handle absolutely everything for me.
Everything? They handle like the fan page and all that stuff?
Well, they do every deal that I currently have. Yeah, they get for me.
That's an interesting setup that you have with them. I would think it's just fighting for those guys.
No. I feel like they're multifaceted, so I feel extremely confident. They're in also the football world, so they do football. They have a few different, ventures, and I feel like as I've grown, as their company has grown, they've become better and better as well at these new things. They now have entire divisions for like influencers. They have their office. It went from when I first showed up at First Round, there's maybe like 6 people in the office. Now I feel like there's like 25. I don't know. They could have 25, 30 employees. They have different divisions and departments for absolutely every venture. They have, football, MMA, bare knuckle boxing. Now they really make sure they're focused on they can be successful at any sort of endorsement deal that they need to do.
By the way, last thing on all this, I find it fascinating. The fan page, how lucrative is that?
It's good.
Could you give us a
nice?
What is it? What ballpark are we talking here?
How much money do you make off your podcast, Ariel?
I'll tell you. I mean, I do. I'm just saying for that particular thing. Is it pretty? Like, could that alone be its own thing?
Well, yeah, it's very lucrative.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, I'm not privy to this world, so I was just curious. Like, could you drop everything and just do that and make a very good living?
Yes.
That is amazing. That is incredible.
Thank you.
I would imagine there are fighters who reach out to you and like try to get the blueprint from you.
Yeah, I've actually gotten a few people, leaned them towards that direction and helped them out and get on the platform. So
that is good.
Good.
A couple of weeks ago, we saw you guys in Dublin. Unfortunately, it didn't go Austin's way. How difficult is it for you to be, in the corner as opposed to the athlete? And, it was such a big deal for him. You were right there by his side. Like, just as opposed to competing, just like being there and not being able to do much.
Yeah, it's definitely harder to be a corner, especially when, of course, every coach is invested in their athlete. But when you're married, you're invested like 10,000 times more. So it sucks just because you can't do anything. And, unfortunately, he's been in my corner when I've had some tough fights as well. But it was a good learning experience. Honestly, he's still young. There's a lot that he learned from this fight. And I think it was more in my position where it was like, yeah, told you need to take care of your body. And, there's things that he doesn't want to make excuses and I'm not allowed to like share his story or whatever. But it was a good learning experience to start putting your body first and start taking care of injuries. So this kind of stuff doesn't happen in the future. And he definitely, as scary as it is for me, this got him even more focused than he's ever been. We showed up from Ireland, we landed the plane and we just flew across the country or across the world and he's back in the gym an hour after we land. So, extremely focused and dedicated. It definitely didn't set him back in a sense at all. He took this loss not easily, but it was just more as a learning experience.
Paige VanZant will compete in MMA by...
What year is it right now?
It's 2022. It's
2022. Yeah, we'll see. I got some great contract offers, so we'll see what contracts come my way.
And when you compete again, will you compete as Paige Vanderford? I thought it was very significant that he told me I dropped the Mr. VanZant gimmick, and he's like, no, I like it. I'm keeping it. But so I don't know. And I see like your Zoom thing says Vanderford. So are you going to go with Vanderford when you compete again, or what?
No, I will always be Paige VanZant.
Okay.
that is my fight name. That is my name I go by. But yes, I am a traditional woman. I did take my husband's last name, and I'm very happy about it.
And are we still 12 gauge?
We're still 12 gauge.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I got a tattooed on my arm now.
All right. So in AEW, it'll be 12 gauge as well?
12 gauge, yep.
All right. Well, congratulations on the AEW deal. Nice to speak to you again. Congratulations on everything going on in your life. The businesses,
Thank you.
You're blowing up. You're doing great. You're doing great things.
Thank you.
And I'm happy that you're feeling better. And I look forward to the wrestling debut. Yes, you wanted to say something?
Oh, no. Thanks for being on your best behavior. You did a good job today.
I mean, I feel like I'm usually on my best behavior. You were mad about something I said to someone else, if you recall. We don't have to get into it, but you remember with you, I feel like I'm usually...
Hey, you can be a little squirrely, Ariel. Everybody knows that.
What do you mean squirrely? What is that supposed to mean?
Squirrely. You're squirrely. Anyways, thank you so much for having me.
This is how we're ending the conversation? You calling me squirrely?
Yeah.
You didn't like the one question you didn't like. There was just, I feel like there was one squirrely question. She hung up. Squirrely is not a nice thing. That's not very nice. She got that from Chael, by the way.